In your car, listen to Newswatch 16 on WKRZ AM 1340.
Proud to serve northeastern and central Pennsylvania. This is WNEP 16, the news station. Now, Nolan Johannes, Karen Harch, pilot Jack Rulin in Skycam 16, Chief Meteorologist Tom Clark, and Joe Zone on sports. This is Newswatch 16.
The February floods are here. For some, the past 24 hours have been a nightmare.
Look at these people in Lycoming County. The only way to escape the rising water is to be carried from their homes in a payloader.
Others here in Clinton County had a bit more time to pack up their belongings and move to higher ground.
Newswatch 16's team coverage of the central Pennsylvania flooding began last night with reporter Bob Costantini checking out dikes in Williamsport.
And by noon today, Craig Stevens was still up to his knees in water as flooding continued to force families to flee the rushing water. Streets turned into streams, and rescue boats have been the order of the day. Good evening. I'm Nolan Johannes.
And I'm Karen Harch.
The best way to show you the extent of the flooding is to follow the cresting waters of the west branch of the Susquehanna. We begin in the Lock Haven area of Clinton County, where officials say the river reached its high water mark at about 8 this morning. The river crested at about 22.5 feet, 1.5 feet above flood stage. Most people weathered the storm well. Some people in Lock Haven's Camelot Estates trailer park tried to stay high and dry. But 21 people and 1 dog were officially the guests of the Red Cross in an emergency shelter set up in Bald Eagle Nittany High School gym. Some people, though, didn't seem to mind the fuss at all. The story was pretty much the same in Williamsport. A handful of homes in South Williamsport wound up with water in their basements, but there was no problem for Williamsport itself. That's because the city is protected by a system of dikes that can handle up to 38 feet of water without overflowing. The Susquehanna at Williamsport reached only 25 feet. For them, a drop in the bucket.
But not everyone was so lucky. A little further downriver is the borough of Muncy. Newswatch 16's Craig Stevens wound up touring parts of Muncy and neighboring Montgomery by boat. That's because some of the worst flooding in memory has left many streets underwater.
This is the north end of Muncy, under as much as 8 feet of water. Heavy rains are making streets here part of the Susquehanna River and have forced scores of people to abandon their homes for higher ground. How bad is it?
Oh, man, I don't know yet. I don't know how high it is now, right now, so I don't. But we get out quick, see? We just walked out and left everything tied.
Others decided to stay at home and ride out the flood. Why didn't you leave?
Not yet. We're talking about getting out now.
The deluge caught many by surprise. Some didn't even have time to get their cars out. Many businesses are underwater, too, like the Creekside Tavern. What's the situation like here in Muncy?
It's wet.
What about your bar?
It's under 8 foot. It's flooded. It's up over top of the bar.
Right here, the water's about 3.5 feet deep in Muncy, and in some parts of the town, it goes as deep as 6 feet. But things are not only bad here, they're also bad in nearby Montgomery. Here, low-lying houses are under as much as 4 feet of water. People have left their homes, and damage is high. Even as of noon here in Montgomery, the evacuation still continued, with people trying to get out before the water got any higher. Here on Broad Street, it's about 3.5 feet deep, and the people that are getting out will have to return to clean up the mess. Craig Stevens, Newswatch 16, knee-deep in water on Broad Street in Montgomery.
The rising floodwaters forced the evacuation of other homes and businesses. This happened further downriver at Watsontown and White Deer, where the Susquehanna River crested near 26 feet. But our Dan Fiorucci says, by and large, the communities escaped heavy damage.
It didn't take long for the west branch of the Susquehanna to flood. By 11 a.m., portions of Route 405 in Turbot were completely underwater, and people were making detours.
I remember the 36 flood and the 72 flood.
Still, some people were unimpressed.
Oh, this is mild compared to the 36 flood, and the 72 flood was 3 feet higher than the 36 flood yet.
What'd you see?
But some rookie flood watchers were left speechless.
Can you talk in there?
For businessmen, the situation was more serious. This swimming supply center had more water than it or any of its pools could handle. And in White Deer, the only way to get to the 25-cent car wash was by boat.
Well, the water just come up and we started moving furniture out.
A dozen or so White Deer homeowners were hit hardest by the flood. Have any idea how much damage to your home?
Oh, about a couple thousand just for the flooring alone, but it's going to seep up the walls.
And as the flood waters continued to creep up around people's homes, they watched and waited.
They said it's supposed to stop raining this morning. It hasn't stopped yet.
By mid-afternoon, this river was supposed to have crested. Homeowners around here hope that the forecasts are right so that tomorrow they can start a day of cleanup. Dan Fiorucci, Newswatch 16, White Deer.
Still further down the West Branch is Lewisburg. That's where the river is expected to crest this evening around 24 or 25 feet. And that's where Newswatch 16's Mike Stevens found people asking themselves the question to stay or not to stay.
In Lewisburg, the Susquehanna was causing problems too. They were not widespread, but they were here all the same. For some folks, it was a day to fool around, to fish in a river that suddenly lapped at the front curb. But others weren't having fun. They were getting out, here from an apartment building surrounded by water. For them, it wasn't an ordinary day. Nor was today normal for people in 2 trailer parks on river-covered Route 405 across the Susquehanna from Lewisburg. Rescue crews used boats to get to the people in those trailer parks, people who told us they did not expect the water to get so high.
We really didn't think it was going to get like this, you know. I mean, we really did. Everybody was calling saying it's going to, you know, it's going to flood, you know, really bad. But we came home around really late. It was like 3 o'clock, you know, and the roads were clear, you know. I mean, the water was coming up, but we didn't really think it was going to get this bad.
You will never be able to convince these people that water problems here today were only spotty. The prediction said it wouldn't get much worse. For them, today was the day of the '84 flood. Mike Stevens, Newswatch 16, near Lewisburg.
Here are some late road reports from area state police. In Clinton County, Lock Haven troopers say all main roads are now capable of travel, but between 40 and 50 side roads are closed. In Northumberland County, Milton State Police report Route 405 remains closed. Also, Route 44 between Watsontown and McEwensville, the Watsontown River Bridge off Route 15, and the road between Dewart and Route 15 that crosses the Susquehanna. In Lycoming County, many legislative routes remain blocked tonight. We ask you to please drive cautiously.
Mention flooding anywhere along the Susquehanna River, and those of us who have been through floods on the eastern branch of the Susquehanna in the Wyoming Valley get a bit anxious, but the news here is good. What you're looking at, you should be seeing right now, is a live picture of the Susquehanna River in Wilkes-Barre. Right now the river level is at 24 feet and still rising, but it is expected to crest at 7 tomorrow morning at between 26 and 27 feet. Now that means there could be some minor flooding in very low-lying areas like parts of Chickashinny, but again, no serious flooding is expected along the east branch of the Susquehanna. Newswatch 16's chief meteorologist Tom Clark is live now in Wilkes-Barre along the river. Tom, what's it like out there?
Well, Karen, I have good news. It's not raining outside now. Just a cloudy sky overhead. I'm standing by the Pierce Street Bridge in Wilkes-Barre, the river flowing very fast behind me. We've had only about half as much rain as what they've had over in central Pennsylvania, anywhere from 1 to 2 inches across northeastern Pennsylvania and in upstate New York. Now, for the balance of this night, I expect nothing more than probably 1 or 2 hundredths of an inch. Just some spotty drizzle the balance of this night as the storm system responsible for all the problems finally moves out to sea. And I'll have a little bit more later on. But no rain falling now, Karen and Nolan.
Okay, thanks, Tom. We will have more non-flood news as Newswatch 16 continues.
We'll tell you about the surprise collapse of a building in downtown Scranton and some Luzerne County workers fighting for their jobs. Stay tuned.
Public versus private education tomorrow morning at 11.
You can call it a freak of nature, the overnight collapse of a Scranton building. As Newswatch 16's Kathi Belich reports, an abandoned building started to tear itself down, but it's a good thing it happened when it did.
Destruction has befallen yet another building on the 400 block of Spruce Street, downtown Scranton. But this time it wasn't fire. The upper floors of this building had already been condemned and demolition was on the calendar for March 1st. But it seems fate stepped in. City officials say what they think happened was the freezing and thawing this winter had already weakened the frame of the building. Then the overnight rains caused more problems here. And then the wind, well, they think it just huffed and puffed and blew the building down. The sight of the sagging building is causing sagging sales for this downtown shop.
Nobody's really been coming in. They've just been stopping out, looking at the building, and then just keep on walking.
Jack Malice was one of those sidewalk observers. Are you glad you weren't walking down the sidewalk?
Yes, I am glad. As you can see with the debris on the ground, you would have been killed if you happened to be walking by.
Mark Cawley works at a men's shop on Spruce Street, one that was in the collapsed building just last summer.
I'm shaking. I mean, it scared me. Like I said, I could have been in there. You was a customer, one of my friends, we could have been killed, we could have been hurt. We're just fortunate nobody was in there at that time.
The demolition equipment and crew are here a couple of weeks early since the building decided to start without them. It should be down completely in a few days. Kathi Belich, Newswatch 16, Scranton.
Good news tonight for the people in Luzerne County. The new budget passed today, and it keeps a $3 million tax decrease intact. But as Newswatch 16's Mark Davis reports, the new budget means an uncertain future for some county employees.
48-year-old Donald Szymanski of Plymouth Township usually comes to commissioners' meetings anyway. He's the county zoning officer. But this meeting he's here to fight for his job.
And to try to reclaim that revenue that would be lost with the elimination of that office, I think you'd be losing taxpayers quite a bit of money.
It's one of 13 positions eliminated in the new county budget. Szymanski has been a county employee for nearly 20 years, and he thinks because the county salary board could not agree on his elimination, he still has a job.
I feel I've done a very good job, excellent job. I've been commended by the county judges, by attorneys, by solicitors, and I'm well qualified to do the job, and I don't feel as though I should have to worry or lose any sleep over it.
The commissioners argued over Szymanski's job and 5 others for nearly 2 hours. The Republican majority saying it's the beginning of the streamlining of county government. The Democrats contending the cuts may cut needed county services.
The future of Donald Szymanski and the 5 other county workers is still far from decided because there are some serious legal questions over what was done and how it was done, and the whole matter is likely to end up in court. Mark Davis, Newswatch 16 at the Luzerne County Courthouse in Wilkes-Barre.
A financial matter at a Scranton bank could end up in the courts. There was a robbery today at the First State Bank in downtown Scranton. Bank officials say an unidentified man walked into their offices at Washington and Linden Streets, told a teller he wanted money. She gave some to him, and he left. They say the robber got away with a very minimal amount of the cash. Newswatch 16 continues with our chief meteorologist, Tom Clark.
And, of course, he's live in Wilkes-Barre along the Susquehanna River. Tom?
Okay, Karen and Nolan, the big question is what will happen tomorrow weather-wise? Will it rain or shine? Have the answer when we come back.
Are you just hanging around, wandering with nothing to do? If you can't bear another Saturday night alone, we found something for you. Take a dash of Stansoa and a splash of Joe's Own. Add some shake, rattle, and roll. Blend of the Lone Ranger and Orville Wright. Mix in some Bambi and some Snow White. And you get a great family night. Pennsylvania Outdoor Life, Saturdays at 7.
Before we go back out to Tom Clark, we should tell you that the Williams Valley School District in Tower City, that's in Schuylkill County, will be closed tomorrow. It's all because of high absenteeism due to the flu. But there will be school tomorrow at Moreland and Pine Grove Middle Schools, as well as Minersville Elementary, North-South Voc Tech, and the Christian schools.
And now let's go to the east bank of the Susquehanna River and Tom Clark. How is it out there, Tom?
Well, Nolan, Karen, not too bad outside now. It's getting a little cold and windy, though, but just a few drizzle drops falling now on the lights. The river immediately behind me here at the Luzerne County Courthouse in Wilkes-Barre. I don't see a whole lot of ice flowing down the river, just a few chunks here and there and some debris. But the good news is the heavy rains have come to an end, and tomorrow looks like a better day. Now, let's take a look at those current readings as we have them. The temperature now is 47 degrees. The humidity is still very high. The wind coming down from the north now, 10 miles per hour. The barometer is rising slowly now, a good sign. The high temperature, 48, and that occurred just after 6 o'clock tonight up there at the airport. And the low this morning, 44 degrees. The record highs and lows, as you can see there, look at that record low, 13 below zero. and that still stands, thank goodness. How about the view from the, of course you have the river there, and it's still rising just a bit, very, very slowly. The satellite view at the moment, look at the right-hand side of your screen, that little curl of clouds, that's a storm system that sort of stalled in its tracks right off the coast of South Jersey, and that allowed for very moist air to continue blowing inland off the ocean, and the rains continued here today. The rainfall total in the Wilkes-Barre, Scranton area from that storm, 1 1/3 inches. But again, anywhere from 3 to 6 inches fell out in the central counties of Pennsylvania. A storm system in the center of your screen out in the Midwest there, blowing dust in Texas because of winds up to 55 miles per hour. Also some thunderstorms in Oklahoma, Arkansas, and in eastern Texas. That storm system, which left blizzard conditions in Colorado last night, is drifting up towards the northeast. It'll affect us along about, Friday night into early Saturday. But lots of clear sky and sunshine sandwiched in between those two storms. And therefore, as the storm off the coast now moves out later tonight, the sun will come out tomorrow. How about our forecast for tonight? Just some spotty drizzle tonight. Again, no more than a few hundredths of an inch will accumulate. Very, very light rainfall amounts tonight. The rain will taper off altogether later tonight. A clearing trend will set in, and colder air will continue to blow in from the north. Temperatures, as you can see, 33 out there in Loyalsock tomorrow morning, and Mountaintop also 33, 34 in Forest City, down there in Weisport in Carbon County in the middle 30s tomorrow morning. And sunshine tomorrow. Get set, it's going to be much, much better. Temperatures will be in the 40s over the viewing area. Larksville, about 48 tomorrow. And your health watch. Let's take a look at it. I got a call from a woman today who is aching all over because of the high humidity. Well, she'll be glad to know that the resistance to aches and pains is much higher tomorrow. Now your sunrise and sunset, there you go. The sun above the horizon 3 minutes longer tomorrow than what it was today. And the big difference is you'll be able to see it. Now the board, clearing later tonight, sunshine tomorrow. Friday will start out dry. The clouds will thicken. A little bit of rain late in the day Friday, and Friday night will not be nearly as heavy as what we've had over the past 24 hours. And then the weekend itself looks pretty good. Temperatures still on the mild side. But Karen and Nolan, this February 15th in the Wilkes-Barre, Scranton area will go down as the wettest on record. And I'm glad it's coming to an end.
Okay, Tom. Thank you very much, and don't fall in that water, please. Joe Zones coming up next with the sports.
Tonight, Joe has a bowling tip that will help you in making the corner spares.
It's look-alike murders and a plot to escape.
The organization, several murders. Could do us both a great deal of good.
Look, Chalmers, let's understand each other. I don't like you.
Come on now, don't be naive, Lieutenant. We both know how careers are made. Integrity is something you sell the public.
Steve McQueen in Bullet, tomorrow's action movie at 4, here on wnep-tv 16.
Well, the Olympics continue, but will we get any more medals?
How about in Los Angeles at the Summer Games?
We have to wait, I guess.
We have some people, from the area who have a shot at getting there, and let's pull for them. The Olympics beginning to wind down, and the United States is looking at its worst showing ever. Rosalind Sumner's the only bright spot in a depressing day. She leads the figure skating after the compulsories, but teammates Elaine Zyak and Tiffany Chin saw their medal hopes shattered by low scores. The U.S. hockey team was tied by Finland in the closing seconds. The best they can do is 7th. It'll be the worst showing by a U.S. hockey team ever. And with all that good news, I'll get you ready for tonight's TV coverage. It begins at 8 o'clock with speed skating, figure skating, ice hockey, and the luge. I've seen more different ways to shoot at corner pin spares. Far left, far right, somewhere in the middle. Scranton pro Joe Hutchinson, currently out on the Pro Bowlers Tour, has the correct way to get those corner pins.
Most people, when they see the pin on the right-hand side of the lane, what do they try to do? They try to throw the ball down the right-hand edge of the lane. I'm going to show you why this is wrong. Now, the proper way to make the 10 pin is to move over to the left, and utilize the lane to the fullest of its ability to benefit you. Go across the lane. Use the widest part. The ball goes from left to right, no problem, and as you can see, we make it. The 7-pin. Once again, here's a pin in the extreme left. I don't know how many times I go watch ball and I see people throwing the ball down the left side of the lane. Move over to the right, throw the ball cross lane, once again utilizing the lane so it can help you. Don't let the lane hinder you. It hurts you enough at times.
Like to see him get some of those tips for his own game going to the Pro Tour. Not a lot of luck so far for Joe. Next week, more from him. Larry Holmes going to fight John Tate on April 6th. It'll be Larry's first defense of his International Boxing Federation title. The fight will be shown on closed circuit and cable from Reno. Holmes gets $3 million, Tate $250,000. Yankees and a lot of other people head to spring training tomorrow. Yanks with the knowledge that their protest concerning the compensation rule has been denied. Happened today. When was the last time they won one of these things? Yanks had protested the Oakland A's taking one of their players in compensation the Yanks didn't even have yet, and therefore couldn't protect. Lee McPhail said, in effect, tough noogies. That's the rule. That's all of it, too. Give tonight your best shot. I'll see you at 11 o'clock with lots of wrestling and basketball.
It just ain't fair.
No. That's what I say, but they just say I'm a Yankee fan. So
right. Right. You don't get paid for sitting up there making those decisions.
That's
right.
For sure.
Thank you, Joe. We'll see you on the
Thanks,
update.
Joe.
The River Watch continues in Wilkes-Barre tonight.
And we'll return there to get the latest on what to expect as Newswatch 16 continues.
How high will you try? $16,000 can be yours weekdays at 4.
Let's check back in with Tom Clark one more time, who is along the river. How does it look there in Wilkes-Barre, Tom?
Karen, there's some drizzle falling now, but that's about all I expect for the balance of this night. Just some light drizzle. So the heavy rain is over with. Tomorrow morning, temperatures in the 30s, a cold start, lots of sunshine tomorrow, and then on Friday, another storm system now in the Midwest will move more rain back into the area, but even then it won't even be half as much as what we've had today. So generally good news in the weather department tonight. Karen and Nolan?
Okay, Tom, thanks. We'll see you on the update. Because of the press of today's flooding news, we were unable to bring you Wednesday's Child. We will bring it to you next Wednesday.
And, of course, our team coverage of the rising Susquehanna River continues, and we'll have the very latest on the update at 11.
For the entire team, thank you for being with us.
Enjoy your evening and stay dry.